Welcome back, everyone. If you caught part 1 of our adventure, you know we're diving deep into some of the most exciting new bikes for 2025. And today, we're picking up right where we left off with even more jaw-dropping updates and features. From revamped suspensions to brand new engines, we're here to break it all down. So grab your helmets, because this is part 2, and things are about to get even more thrilling. Let's not waste any more time and jump right into it. Let's go. This version really steps up its off-road capability. The suspension has been revised, for example, with linear springs that are said to be more suited for rougher terrain. The rims are now more robust, able to handle heavy hits, and the engine map has been tweaked, providing a bit more snap on the throttle, making it easier to pop the front wheel over obstacles. The SC Project Titanium exhaust system helps shed about 5 kilograms over the standard bike, and all of this is wrapped up in a more race-inspired finish, which I think looks really great. No price has been confirmed for this one yet, but I'm guessing it will probably come in about $1,000 more than the standard Tuareg 660.
According to plans from 2023, the Macabre would stand 400 meters tall from top to bottom, which means it would technically be considered a super tall skyscraper. Unlike normal skyscrapers, it would also be 400 meters wide. As mentioned earlier, you could fit 20 Empire State Buildings inside the Macabre and still have room to spare. This would make it the largest building in the world. Not the tallest, but in terms of volume.
The V2, although you might not notice it at first glance because it looks remarkably similar to the previous generation, actually brings a lot of changes under the hood. The new engine, for example, weighs significantly fewer kilograms than the tester's version, and a new aluminum frame helps as well. In total, the curb weight, fully fueled, now comes in at 100 to 99 kilograms for the standard model, which is definitely on the lighter end of the spectrum for this category of bike. However, the price is somewhat heavier. The standard Multistrada V2 is priced just under $14,000, while the S version, which includes an electronic suspension package, among other features, costs a substantial $16,390. Still, it looks like it will be a great road-biased adventure tourer, and it's a Ducati, so you probably weren't expecting it to be cheap, were you? $14,599 will get you the Husqvarna Norden 901 Expedition. And once again, Husqvarna is another sister company of KTM. This bike gets its fundamentals from the 890 Adventure. In my opinion, Husqvarna always does a great job with styling, and this one is no exception. I especially like the new graphics scheme for the 2025 model year. What sets the Expedition version apart from the standard bike is that it sits a bit taller, with more travel in the suspension. Additionally, it comes with a touring windscreen, heated grips, a center stand, and soft luggage as standard. The idea is to use this bike for longer trips or expeditions, especially ones that involve a lot of off-roading. I'm sure it's great for this combination of features.
The company behind the New Maraba project officially confirmed this in October when they released a statement titled "New Maraba Reaches New Heights." To quote them, excavation at the iconic Macabre has reached 86% completion.
One thing that really surprised me when I reviewed this bike recently was that it didn't have hazard lights. There was no button on the switchgear to activate both indicators at once. Thankfully, that's been fixed for 2025, along with a few other tweaks to the electronics, like a revised traction control system that allows for 10 levels of slip and a standard fit USB-C port. Ducati now offers their awesome Desert X in a Discovery spec for just over £17,000, which comes with the full works from the accessories catalogue, plus its own dedicated paint job. It includes reinforced handguards, a touring windscreen, hard luggage, a sump guard, heated grips, a center stand, and more. The thing is, while the Desert X is a brilliant bike, and I'm sure this one's no different, it costs about $3,000 more than the Northern Expedition, which is built to do a very similar job. Well, I think you've got to really want one to justify the extra cash. Moving on, one of my favorite bikes that I rode in 2024 was the new Moto Guzzi Fi 100 Stelvio, which, I guess, came as a bit of a surprise. You see, it doesn't necessarily stand out in any one particular area. It's not the most powerful, it's not the lightest, it's not the most off-road focused, it's not even the most tech-heavy or the cheapest. But what I will say is that it's just a beautifully rounded package. It's stylish, it feels practical, and you get a super sweet V-twin engine with fantastic character, plenty of mid-range, and a very nice exhaust note which always helps. For 2025, there aren't any major changes as it's still relatively recent. However, what they have announced is the Ducento Limited Run, which gets a special paint job to celebrate 200 years of the Stelvio Pass, from which the bike, of course, inherits its name. For me, this one has a bit of the Africa Twin or GS Trophy vibe to it. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. It always suits an adventure bike, this kind of paint job. But then again, assuming it's going to come with a bit of a premium, being a limited run, you'll probably end up paying more for it. I think I'd probably go for the standard grey and neon yellow of the bike I reviewed, which in my opinion, looked a bit more classy. The update from Ducati comes in the form of the Multistrada V2. At first glance, it may not look drastically different from the previous generation, but there are some notable tweaks across the standard model, the S version, and the Pikes Peak variant with the sporty 17-inch front wheel. These changes should add up to a fairly significant improvement on the road. For example, the V4 engine now features extended rear cylinder deactivation, which allows the bike to run on just the front two cylinders at low speeds. This should help keep the rider cooler, especially in hotter climates, and improve fuel efficiency, something that hasn't always been a strong suit for this bike. Additionally, the swing arm pivot has been raised by 1 millimeter, which improves anti-squat behavior. There's also a new bump detection feature in the semi-active suspension that softens the shock in real time whenever the fork detects a sudden jolt. This could certainly help protect your spine when taking speed bumps at higher speeds. Another change is that the luggage mounts have been moved back by 25 millimeters, providing the passenger with a bit more legroom. While these updates may seem subtle, they address several common owner complaints, and I'm looking forward to reviewing the bike to see if these changes truly add up to something greater than the sum of their parts. The thing is, it's always going to be hard to compete with the best seller in the market, which, as you might know, is the BMW R 1300 GS, along with the more distance-focused adventure version that comes with the big 30-litre tank. That said, maybe in 2025, BMW has given the competition a bit of a fighting chance with one of the most radical visual redesigns we've seen in recent memory. I think it's fair to say it's met with a bit of a mixed reception. I'll admit, the massive, blocky, almost Lego-like tank on this new GSA really does take some getting used to. But if you can get your head around it, I'd recommend taking one for a demo, because beneath the surface, it still has the brilliant combination of impressive range from that big tank, the smooth and torquey Boxer twin engine, the brilliantly planted telelever, and a top-spec tech package that can, if you're willing to spec it up, pretty much do anything you could hope for. So, it retains many of the strengths of the previous Gen 1250 GS Adventure. In my experience, after spending a bit of time with it, it's a great bike to ride. Also, for this new iteration, it's got a bit of a trick up its sleeve by inheriting the adaptive ride height feature from the standard 1300 GS. This automatically lowers the bike when you come to a standstill, and it's really seamless and unnoticeable. It's probably the best implementation I've seen so far of this kind of concept, and it really does help make a big, tall, hefty bike feel that much more manageable. It's certainly something I'd be putting a bit of cash aside for if I were buying one and speccing it up. The other key decision with this new bike, though, is whether to get the ASA, Automated Shift Assistant, which allows you to run the bike in automatic mode by replacing the clutch and mechanical shifter with electronic actuators. I've tried it out recently on the standard 1300 GS, and while it's really quite good, and I can see it surprising some people with how decent it is, I think overall I'd still prefer to have the control of the clutch, especially when it comes to lower speed riding. This is also a feature that's on the latest generation of the KTM Super Adventure, specifically the 1390, or at least the top spec Evo model, comes with a system called AMT, Automated manual transmission. This system is slightly different from BMW's, as it uses a mechanical recluse clutch instead of an electronic actuator. This could potentially feel a bit less refined than BMW's, although I'll need to ride one soon to find out. Both the Standard S and the Evo now feature the 1390 version of KTM's big V-twin engine, producing a solid 170 horsepower, plenty for nearly any rider. The bikes are also equipped with radar-enabled rider aids at both ends, along with a comprehensive set of tech and the top-spec chassis. So both should be excellent bikes, although don't expect them to come cheap, especially with KTM recently raising the price of several of their models. Even so, not many adventure bikes can match these big KTMs for pure fun on the road. Additionally, the off-road biased R model has recently received many of the same updates. And that, my friends, wraps up all the key adventure bike developments for 2025 that I think you need to know about. But as always, I'd love to hear which one you'd want in your garage, money no object. Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to stay updated with the latest motorcycle news right here. A massive thanks for watching today, and we'll see you in the next video.